The truth about Pokemon investing. You're not ready for this.
Sealed product, it's gotten so expensive. It's just so expensive.
Pokemon cards are appreciating like absolute crazy.
We're going to talk about that investing aspect of things today. And
guys, today I'm going to be talking about 3 key investing tips, tricks, ideas.
What is the best Pokemon investments that I can invest in right now?
This video is to show you all how bullish I am on Pokemon.
This is what I actually feel. Pokemon investing, it's where a day feels like a year.
And a year feels like a day.
I'm going to address the age-old question of investing versus flipping.
Investing in Pokemon cards today.
I'll show you guys something that I'm actually kind of investing in.
Today we're going to do a video on Pokemon investing.
When I talk about Pokemon investing,
I'm not collecting a PSA 10 first edition Charizard. I'm investing in one.
How do you make sound investments?
Let's look at some cards we can get for a steal, and I think you should invest in today.
You thought I was going to all over these YouTube creators. So what was the point of this video, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple, really. Nobody has a magical crystal ball, and nobody can predict exactly what's going to happen in the future. So here are 5 truths about Pokemon investing. But before I get into all of that, I just want to thank all of the YouTube creators that feature in the intro of the video. The idea and the point of me putting this in there was that Pokemon investing has taken over, and we all know this. So many new people have entered the hobby, hoping to make money, hoping to collect and invest, and hope that the money they spend today on sealed product, on cards, on singles, on graded singles, on slabs, whatever, that will appreciate in the future. So you can like whoever you like, and you can watch whoever you want. Go ahead, they're all great creators. Just don't FOMO out. By the way, Opossum Bud doesn't really talk about investing. I just thought it'd be funny to put him in right at the end, because he actually does content that is quite anti-investing and more geared towards collecting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Opossum. But anyway, let's get into the 5 truths about Pokemon investing that you may or may not know about. Number 1. The Pokemon Company is the largest global media franchise IP on the globe. They can decide to do whatever they want. They can reprint stuff, probably not WotC stuff, as the rumors have been going on that Pokemon Company International have been secretly printing more vintage product for the likes of PokeRev, Leon Hart, all the large YouTubers that are doing rips, box breaks, that sort of thing on stream and in their videos. Now, there is absolutely no way that it could logically happen that WotC, as well as a Pokemon Company, and all of the intricacies required in order to replicate those cards in modern times, 20 to 25 years later, would be possible. So on that note, let's put those rumors aside. Now let's get on to the meat and bones of the subject. Pokemon Company, as I said, is the largest media franchise on the planet. Bigger than Marvel, bigger than Disney, bigger than anybody you can imagine.
what?
If they want to reprint modern sets, they can do that. So anything that you take investment advice related, even if it's from me, because as I said, I am no expert, it's always my subjective opinion. Whatever you take it with a grain of salt, because we cannot guarantee, no creator, no YouTube personality, influencer, video creator can guarantee you that something is short print or won't be reprinted, etc., etc. Take everything you hear online with a grain of salt. Not everything you think is going to make money will make money. It's all speculation, and we can only guess. That leads me on to something further to join on to this actually. Do not take advice from people that tell you something is short print or will not be reprinted. If Pokemon want to, they can and they will. We do not know what short prints would be like. And even in some cases where things are printed through the ground, they can still go up exponentially. Take XY Evolutions as an example from the XY era. Those booster boxes were printed through the ground, and if you look at them now, the prices have skyrocketed. We're looking at 7x, 8x initial booster box prices. The next point is collectors, investors, and players. Players are what keeps the TCG alive, and without players, card prices would tank. The reason why card prices stay at a certain level is because they're in demand and they're needed and they're required in rotation so that players can get those cards. So there was rumors last year and the year before about short printing on, for example, Japanese sets, stuff like V-Star Universe. Okay, let's take Japanese as an example. There were people online spewing stuff like, oh, it's never going to be reprinted again. There's only going to be 1 or 2 print runs and then that's it, blah, de blah. The set was in rotation and players required cards. So when players are requiring cards to play the TCG, actually physically sit down and play that TCG, there is no way that the Pokemon company would, even in their right mind, think about not reprinting those sets. They need to make it available. The players are what keeps the hobby alive. Yes, granted, there are collectors and there are investors in the space now. Collectors do make up a large part of the market. However, players are super, super important to Pokemon and they will always cater to players. Now on to my next point. This is going to shock some of you, but Charizard is not king. Not every Charizard you will buy will appreciate 10x, 20x, 100x, 1000x. Okay, that's just the reality of the matter. Every single set does not have a Charizard in it, and not every single Charizard is going to be worth millions, trillions, quadrillions in the future. As much as I like enjoying pulling the Charizard chase card from a set, it doesn't always mean that you need to be pulling it just so that you can make huge bucks and returns on that pull. When you're buying a Pokemon product and you're ripping to open, rip it because you enjoy ripping it. Yeah. In my last video, I spoke about not using your credit cards, not using loans, taking out money, borrowing money to buy product. Collect for the sake of collecting. Collect your binder pieces in order to satisfy your own love for the TCG. Yes, of course, like I said, there's collectors and there's investors in this space and there always will be. But if you enter into this space from a collecting point of view, from an appreciation of the TCG, the artwork, etc. point of view, you will never feel like you lost out, even if you have made investments that don't work out. For me, my ideal scenario is I buy a bunch of sealed product, I buy singles, I buy slabs, I buy what I like. So my advice is to buy what you like, because the absolute worst case scenario, if you put money into this TCG, if you put money into Pokemon as investments, then the worst case scenario in that case is that you will be able to enjoy that in the future if it doesn't go up exponentially. So my next point is graded cards will not always make you huge profits. There are some cards you buy, if you grade them and they don't hit a certain grade, they will be worth about the same as a raw copy. In fact, in some cases, you might get a lower grade and that grade is not going to reflect the cost of a raw copy of an ungraded copy within Pokemon. There are certain Charizards, there are a bunch of different cards you can buy, trainer gallery cards, that as they are raw, just the card itself, yeah, the cost might be $50. You go and get that card graded and it grades a PSA 7 or an 8, it might actually be worth less than that raw copy. So bear in mind that not everything you grade will always be worth more money. And my last and final point, which might be a shocker to some of you, I know that we're all unique. If you're watching this video, you're probably in the top 1 to 5% of people that actually looks at investment within Pokemon. The truth of the matter is, a large majority of people that are in the TCG, Pokemon space, know none of this. And they're not even interested in this. They just want to open packs, they want to play the game online, and they just want to enjoy themselves. However, this might not come as a surprise to some of you, but I need to make this quite evident and clear. At the very top end, where we have really, really high cards, we're talking about very, very high-end, niche, obscure cards. A very simple example would be a first edition base set Charizard, PSA 10, for example, or the Illustrator Pikachu. These cards, they're set at auction, and what some of you may not know is that some of these prices are artificially inflated and kept at a certain level. So let me give you an example. There might be a buyer who owns a bunch of, well, there's not that many, but let's just say they own 1 or 2 PSA 10 first edition Charizards. Now, somebody else is selling a PSA 10 Charizard, and they want to get $300,000 for the card. Now, the previous buyers have paid $350,000. The person selling it might be desperate, or they need the money, or they just want to liquidate, they want to rotate their funds. Now, what actually happens, and one of the dark secrets that many of you won't know this, is that the buyers who already own that said asset, that first edition base set Charizard in a PSA 10, keep an eye on the market, and they actually go onto these large auction platforms like ZNG Emporium, Golden, PWCC auctions, all these different auction platforms, right, that sell high-end, very, very high-end, obscure Pokemon cards. Now, the sellers who are selling that might not be bothered. They might just want to liquidate and get their funds out. However, you need to remember, you need to remember that there are buyers who have already invested in this card previously. They are watching these auctions because they want to be able to ensure that prices stay at a certain level. Now, what do? Some will come in and actually buy up and bid up the price and own said asset, said first edition base set Charizard, and prop up the price so that the price and value of theirs doesn't drop. Because what happens is, say person A purchased a first edition Charizard for $350,000. 3 months later, somebody else is selling a first edition base set Charizard. They're happy with getting $250,000, $300,000 out of the deal because they bought it many years ago for $100,000, for example. Person A, who already bought this 2 or 3 months ago for $350,000, is keeping an eye on the auction and does not want the next auction listing that Charizard to sell for less than what they bought it for. Because then guess what happens? The person A who bought that Charizard for $350,000, if the next Charizard sells at $250,000, guess what happens? It's telling the market that that very high-end card is actually now selling for $100,000 less than this person paid for. And guess what happens? Person A starts to lose value on their investment. So what actually does happen is that you do get people protecting the market within the higher echelons of Pokemon card investment. So there are cases where people will come in and they will buy the card for similar to higher value in order to make sure that they retain the value across their single card, or maybe they have many cards, that they will come in, they will look at the similar listings of similar cards or the same card, and actually on the back end buy those cards in order to keep the market at a certain price. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I know it was a long intro. I have nothing against any of the YouTubers highlighted in my initial intro. I like all of them. I'm subscribed to all of them. They've all got different points of views. The point of putting that in is to just show you that everybody's talking about investment. It's such an important part of the hobby. Listen to who you like, take from who you like, but always take it with a grain of salt. Nobody knows everything. Nobody has a crystal ball. And just enjoy yourself in the hobby. I'll catch you on the next one.